Okay, we're going to start an episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff to have a really cool review for you guys from the brand Orion. And this is such a cool brand, really backed by a really cool guy in terms of, you know, the former house known as Watches by Nick, which was an amazing Seiko modder, who literally put himself through a watchmaking school, and pretty much as he graduated also the brand into the Orion watch brand that we know and love today. It's a US based micro brand with an eye for details and ergonomics, producing high quality small batch wristwatches made for enthusiasts. Like, these are definitely not your run-of-the-mill, just like micro brand, cashing out, factory, you know, kind of homage type of watch. Like, these are definitely something very special, and I'd say they fall into the everyday category pretty well in terms of really just looking for that versatile blend of both sporty and dressy attributes. And of course, we do have the classic Feild watch being represented there in the Feild Standard II as well. And then of course we have the Sylph line, which is very, very cool. You have that beautiful black mother of pearl dial, and of course that signature Burgundy. So these are pretty cool, and they are pretty competitively priced at $725 and then $835 for the mop dial, mother of pearl dial, and that's direct from Orion. And yeah, I'm digging these, and I really appreciate Nick reaching out so I could do a little showcase for you guys while I have these landed into the channel for a little while. So with all that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. All right, guys, so I wasn't sure which one I was going to pick up first, but I guess I should start with this mother of pearl dial, which is absolutely breathtaking, guys. Check that out. The color play, even with the seconds hand tie-in, I mean, that is just magical, guys. Check that out. Whew. All right, so these all share the same case. So in terms of specs, it's going to be pretty similar across the board. 39 millimeters in diameter, 10.5 millimeters thick, 47 millimeters lug to lug, 316L stainless steel, brushed and polished, low dome sapphire with an inner AR coating. And this thing's sweet. They all are running on Miyota 9039, so you're going to get that 4 hertz sweep at 28,800 vibrations per hour in terms of the beat rate, and then you're going to have a nice 42-hour power reserve. So these are all very cool. And then another standout for me, my goodness, guys, I mean, honestly, is there any need to get a Hamilton or a traditional Feild watch when you literally, like, I feel like he answered all the questions. You're getting applied indices, you're getting a very well balanced and symmetrical dial layout that is still quite legible, and of course here he went the extra step of creating his own font to make sure that everything was very cohesive in terms of the numerics and the way that they're laid out. So very, very cool. I mean, this one just, and you guys, some of you who've been fans of the channel for a while, you might recognize, hey, this looks kind of familiar. It's also because I do own the Hellcat, which is again uses this same case with a very cool curved case back. You know, so those things, they aren't really new. It's more so the newness of some of these different options that you can get. And normally these are going to be in pretty limited runs. Like this one's really going to be only 40 pieces, guys. 40 pieces. Of those of you that are looking for, you know, I feel like this happens all the time. Hey, I wish that Hamilton would do a better job with their AR coating, or at least have AR coating, right? I wish things would be thinner, more ergonomic. I wish there was a chunkier crown. I wish it was screw down, right? So you could have that confidence inspiring water resistance, which you're getting here, guys. Screw down crown. Look how chunky this is. This is a beast. Beautifully done, beautiful knurling, and it's just gorgeous, right? And then there's even those little details, right? Like when you look at the bezel itself, it has a concave surface to it. So that's not going to get scratched. It's going to be inset, right? So that's going to stay beautiful in terms of that polishing. Look at the bevels, the transition from that fine satin to the high polished. I mean, that is just fantastic. You're getting a female end links for, you're getting that great articulation, that beautiful drop on the wrist. It's going to hug the wrist, right? Ergonomics, really well proportioned. You're still going to get a nice amount of visual punch, guys. Oh, yes. There will be visual punch here. So check that out. I mean, these are definitely sized very modestly, right? So in terms of being something, especially with the way the market's going towards smaller watches, right? You don't have to have something that feels petite or undersized, right? It can just be, closer to the right size. And at 39 millimeters, it's hard to argue, especially with these immaculate proportions, guys. Really fantastic from that standpoint. And then you get into the dial details. So these two models are definitely going to have more of that, retro style right there. I would say even motorsports, dare I say, inspired with that kind of checkered patterning there on the outer chapter. But then you do have beautiful applied indices. You have really great angles here. That seconds hand, definitely signature, something you're going to see across different Orion watches. And then, again, down to even the font on the text, very unique. And these are just watches that, again, they are not your basic homage watch. They definitely have a very specific and very refined eye in mind in terms of who these are going to speak to and resonate with, right? Even the colorway here, right? This beautiful, almost Dr. Pepper like can color there. That's just really, really beautiful. And then, this is just magical. I'm kind of still kicking myself for not picking up one of the special edition Hellcats he did with this black mop colorway, because this is just, the way the light just hits it, transitions off of it. Look at all the colors. And then, of course, when it's not, right, when it's just a little black off of there, right, you're not getting all that play, but then you can just turn on the fun. Look at that. It's just gorgeous, guys. I'm really, really digging these a whole lot. And again, these are all brand new pieces that were just lent in, so I'm not gonna, adjust them or anything like that in terms of the bracelet. But you guys can also look up my Hellcat review if you want to see how these wear fully tightened and tapered up and everything like that. But you guys can see, I'll just tighten it with my finger there. Of course, if I do have my wrist a bit too close to the camera lens, it's going to appear a bit, there'll be some perspective distortion there. So what I'll do is I'll keep my wrist nice and low here, and then I'll just tighten up the frame so you guys can get still a detailed look, but just while maybe getting a bit of a truer aspect ratio as to how this may lay on your own wrist. And man, check out the way it just hugs that wrist. My goodness. And yes, I do have a larger wrist, so I mean, you guys, if you have a larger wrist than 7.5 inches, you can feel pretty comfortable knowing there's plenty of links here. The nice thing is these links are all removable there. The really cool single links with that nice Y shape, and then those really beautiful bevels that just add a bit of class there. But man, the thinness on here, no problem at all sliding underneath the cuff there. So very, very cool. I'm really digging this very, very much. But let's go ahead and let's get this guy right here. This is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful option. Check this out. Yeah. Ooh. And the beautiful thing here is, as loud as this can be, when different angles, when different, light sources are going to hit this, at the same time, it's also infinitely wearable, right? Because these colors, they kind of don't match with anything, but they also kind of match with everything, which I dig, right? They pop in all the right ways, whether you want it to be more of a blue, green, pink hues. I mean, they're all there and it's all good, all pops. And then again, beautiful juxtaposition between just svelte and almost like, hey, disappearing on the wrist to so much personality, so much visual interest in play when you do just turn your wrist slightly. So very cool there as well. And then let's go ahead and get the last one on here. Very nice. A little bit more sedate, somewhere in between, right? Still a very eye-catching colorway. And also, of course, very different, right? But a bit more sedate, a bit more wearable, a bit more versatile, versus the very handsome mother of pearl there. But very cool. Of course, the Feild Standard II is definitely going to be probably the most versatile option, or maybe not, right? Color-wise, very versatile, but aesthetically, this definitely is probably in a bit of a smaller box because it is really just a field watch at heart, but just turned up in so many really fun ways. So now that that's all out of the way, let's actually get the setup for some loom shots, low light transition, and closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. Hey, as you can see, another great thing, right? So one of the strengths, of course, of microbands a lot of the times is going to be the loom, right? And those attention to details that enthusiasts really search for. But sometimes